Alan's heart raced as he stared at the screen, the glowing light revealing a trail of transactions that made his stomach churn. His daughter, Melissa, had always been a kind-hearted soul, the type to donate her allowance to animal shelters and volunteer at local food drives. But this was different. A series of money transfers to a name he didn't recognize, a stranger living thousands of miles away. The disquieting thought gnawed at him. What if she was being scammed? What if this person was a fraud, exploiting her kindness? Before we dive deeper into Alan's story, I invite you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us and is the lifeblood that keeps these heartfelt stories flowing. By subscribing, you help us reach a wider audience and continue sharing tales that touch the heart. So please hit that subscribe button now. Alan's mind raced, each thought colliding with the next in a whirlwind of concern. He remembered how Melissa had always been the one to reach out, to extend herself toward those in need. Even as a child, she'd been the first to invite the new kid at school to join their lunch table, her laughter ringing out like a bell, welcoming and warm. But this was new territory. As he contemplated the implications, Alan felt a pang of dread settle in the pit of his stomach. He had always prided himself on being a protective father. His instincts told him to confront her, to put a stop to whatever was happening before it spiraled out of control. But what if he was wrong? What if Melissa was simply trying to help someone who genuinely needed it? The conflict within him echoed louder than the clicking of keys on his keyboard. This was about more than money. It was about trust, compassion, and the bond they shared. With a deep breath, Alan rose from his chair and made his way to the kitchen, where he found Melissa, her head bent over a notebook, scribbling furiously. The late afternoon light poured in through the window, illuminating her auburn hair and casting a golden glow around her. She looked so peaceful, so innocent, and yet he felt a storm brewing inside him. "Melissa, can we talk?" he asked, his voice a mix of concern and authority. She looked up, her blue eyes wide with curiosity, and nodded, setting her pen down. "Sure, Dad. What's up?" Alan hesitated, searching for the right words. How do you approach a topic so delicate without causing her to withdraw? "I've been looking at your bank statements," he began, choosing his words carefully. "I noticed some money transfers to someone overseas." Her expression shifted, a flicker of surprise crossing her face before it settled into something more guarded. "Oh," she said softly. "I can explain." The honesty in her voice soothed his fraying nerves slightly, but it did little to quell the worry that gnawed at him. "Who is this person, Melissa? Why are you sending the money?" She sighed, running a hand through her hair. "His name is Samuel. We've been pen pals for a while now. He lives in a really tough place, Dad. There's a war going on, and he told me how hard it is just to survive. I wanted to help him, that's all." Alan felt his heart twist. The compassion that had always defined Melissa was now laid bare before him, and he couldn't help but admire her heart. Yet the protective instinct within him flared. "But Melissa, you don't know him. This could all be a scam. There are people out there who prey on kind-hearted individuals like you." "I know it sounds risky," she replied, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "But I've done research. I've talked to him for months now. He's real, Dad. He shares his life with me, and I've seen photos of his situation. I just can't sit back and do nothing when I have the means to help." Her words hung in the air, heavy and sincere. Alan's heart ached as he watched her passion ignite. She had always had a fierce sense of justice, a desire to make the world a better place, and he had always encouraged that spirit. But now, the very thing he admired in her felt like a double-edged sword. "I just don't want you to get hurt, Melissa," he said, his voice softening. "What if this is a trap? What if he's not who he says he is?" She stood up, her emotions bubbling to the surface. What if he is? What if he's a real person struggling for survival? Just because he's far away doesn't mean he doesn't deserve help. "Dad, I can't just turn my back on him. That's not who I am." Her eyes sparkled with determination, and for a moment, Alan felt his resolve wavering. He wanted to trust her instincts, to believe in the goodness of humanity, but the fear of the unknown loomed large. "I understand your heart, Melissa, but what if you're wrong? What if this risks our safety?" Melissa crossed her arms, a gesture of defiance that reminded him so much of her mother. What if I'm right? What if I can make a difference? You taught me to care, Dad. You taught me to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Her words struck a chord deep within him. Memories flooded back of late-night talks about empathy and kindness, the lessons he had instilled in her since she was a little girl. The world was often cruel, but it was also filled with light if one knew where to look. And yet, the worry still lingered. Alan felt torn, caught between his instincts as a father and the encouraging voice of his daughter, who had grown into a compassionate young woman. The room felt charged with tension, each heartbeat echoing the weight of their conversation. Okay, he finally said, his voice steadying. Let's figure this out together. I want to understand more about Samuel and your situation. If you believe in him, then let's find a way to help him safely. But we need to be cautious. Melissa's face brightened, relief washing over her features. Really? You'll help me? Alan nodded, feeling the warmth of her gratitude wrap around him like a comforting blanket. Yes, but this will be a joint effort. We need to do our research, explore safer ways to support him, and ensure that you're not putting yourself in danger. As they began to brainstorm ideas and gather information, Alan couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a deeper journey. He was stepping into an unfamiliar world, one that would challenge his perceptions and test his beliefs. But he also felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Perhaps this situation, fraught with uncertainty, could lead to something greater, a deeper understanding of empathy, a bond strengthened by shared purpose. And so, with a renewed sense of determination, they dove into the unknown together, both father and daughter, ready to navigate the complexities of compassion. Alan felt a rush of warmth as he witnessed the light return to Melissa's eyes. It wasn't just relief that he saw. It was a spark of purpose, a fire igniting in her heart that had always been there. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but there was something undeniably powerful about standing together, united by a common cause. Let's start with the basics, he said, shifting into a more analytical mindset. Can you show me the messages you've exchanged with him? I want to understand his situation better. Melissa nodded enthusiastically, retrieving her laptop and opening a chat window. Alan leaned over her shoulder, peering at the screen as she scrolled through their conversations. Samuel's messages painted a vivid picture of his life. The resilience in his words struck Alan deeply. He spoke of bombed-out buildings and the sounds of gunfire that echoed through the night, the scarcity of food and clean water, and the hope that flickered in the darkness. This is heartbreaking, Alan murmured, his heart aching for the young man he had never met. He's living in a nightmare. Exactly, Melissa said, her voice trembling with emotion. He tells me about his dreams, how he wants to go to school and become a doctor. He wants to help his community, but right now he can't even find enough to eat. Alan's mind raced. The gravity of Samuel's situation weighed heavily on him. He could see the genuine compassion in Melissa's eyes, and it was clear that she was not just sending money blindly. She was trying to make a tangible difference in someone else's life. Yet, the nagging worry crept back in. What if he's just telling you what you want to hear? He asked gently. What if he's manipulating your kindness? Melissa frowned, her brow furrowing. I've thought about that, Dad, but I can't ignore the possibility that he's telling the truth. I mean, look at the situation he's in. There are real people suffering out there, and I can't just turn a blind eye. Alan sighed, torn between admiration for his daughter's conviction and the need to protect her from potential harm. I get that, Melissa, but we have to be careful. Maybe we can set up a different way of helping him, something that doesn't involve sending money directly. What if we could find a charity or an organization that supports people in his area? Melissa's eyes lit up at the suggestion. That could work. I could ask him if he knows of any credible organizations. Maybe he can connect us with someone who can help him more safely. Yes, that's a great idea, Alan replied, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. Let's put together a list of questions we can ask him. We can also research charities that are known to operate in his region. As they worked side by side, a sense of camaraderie blossomed between them. The kitchen, filled with the scent of fresh cookies baking in the oven, became a sanctuary for their collaboration. Alan watched as Melissa's fingers danced across the keyboard, her face alight with purpose. He marveled at how she had grown into such a passionate young woman, driven by empathy and a desire to foster change in the world. "Dad, can I tell him about our plan?" Melissa asked, her excitement palpable. "Absolutely," Alan replied, his heart swelling with pride. "But let's also keep our conversations honest. We need to remind him that we want to help, but we have to do it in a way that keeps everyone safe." Melissa nodded enthusiastically, her eyes shining with determination. "I'll make sure to explain. I want him to know that I care about him and his future, but I also want to be responsible." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm, golden hue across the kitchen, Alan felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He realized that this experience was not just about Melissa helping someone across the globe. It was also about the two of them learning and growing together. Their bond was deepening in ways he had never anticipated. "Hey, Melissa," he said, hesitating for a moment as he considered his next words carefully. "I'm proud of you. It takes a lot of courage to reach out and support someone in need. Just remember that you can always come to me with your concerns or doubts." Her smile was radiant, and Alan felt the weight of her gratitude enveloping him. "Thanks, Dad. It means a lot to have your support. I really want to make a difference." As they continued to work through the evening, Alan found himself reflecting on the lessons he had learned throughout this experience. He had stepped into uncharted territory, one that challenged his beliefs about safety, trust, and the importance of vulnerability. The world was a complex place, filled with shadows, but also with glimmers of hope, and it was his responsibility to guide Melissa through it. The following days unfolded like a tapestry, woven with shared moments of research, late-night conversations, and laughter that echoed through their home. They delved into Samuel's life, uncovering the struggles he faced and exploring ways to help him safely. As they communicated with him, Alan encouraged Melissa to ask questions and seek clarity. "Let's make sure we understand his needs," Alan advised one evening as they sat together on the couch, laptops in hand. "We can't assume we know what he needs without asking." Melissa nodded, her expression earnest. "I want to make sure we're doing this right. I don't want to just throw money at the problem. I want to be a part of the solution." "I appreciate that mindset," Alan replied, feeling a sense of pride swell within him. "It shows how much you care about others." Their discussions became a blend of strategy and compassion, and with each exchange, Alan found himself inspired by Melissa's tenacity and unwavering belief in humanity's goodness. The journey took on a life of its own, transforming their kitchen into a hub of hope and connection. One day, as they sifted through various charities and organizations, Melissa looked up from her laptop, her expression contemplative. "Dad, what if we could actually go to visit Samuel one day? I mean, once it's safe and we know more about him. Imagine the impact we could make by being there in person." The thought hit Alan like a bolt of lightning. "That's a big step, Melissa, but it's not impossible. If we can establish a connection and find a credible way to support him, then who knows what the future holds." The idea of traveling to a war-torn region filled him with apprehension, but there was also a thrill of possibility. He could picture Melissa, her heart full of empathy, standing side by side with Samuel, helping him navigate the challenges he faced. It was a vision that was both daunting and inspiring. As they continued to explore this new path together, Alan felt a sense of purpose blossoming within him. He realized that being a father was not just about protecting his daughter, but also about empowering her to follow her passions, even when they led into uncertain territories. With each passing day, the bond between them grew stronger, forged in the fires of shared experiences and mutual respect. Alan's heart softened further, recognizing that this journey was not solely about helping a stranger. It was about nurturing the compassionate spirit in his daughter and learning to trust her instincts. As the emotional peaks of their journey unfolded, Alan found himself reflecting on his own beliefs, realizing that the world was filled with both darkness and light. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. The days turned into weeks, and as they exchanged messages with Samuel, they began to see glimpses of hope amidst the despair. Samuel's gratitude for their support resonated deeply within them, reinforcing the connection they had forged across continents. They felt a sense of purpose that transcended borders, a shared commitment to making the world a better place. Yet, even amidst the growing hope, Alan remained vigilant, aware of the risks involved. He continued to emphasize the importance of caution, wanting to ensure that Melissa's kind-hearted nature did not put her in harm's way. "Let's keep our eyes open, Melissa," he reminded her one evening, as they prepared to send their first official message to Samuel about their plans to help him through a charity. "We're making a difference, but we must remain aware of the realities of this situation." "I know, Dad," she replied, her voice steady. "I'm grateful for your guidance. I want to do this right." As they sent the message, a sense of excitement bubbled within Alan. He had come to understand that this journey was not just about helping Samuel. It was also about discovering their own capacity for resilience, compassion, and the strength of their connection as father and daughter. With each step they took, Alan felt himself growing, learning to embrace the unknown. The world was a vast, complicated place, but together, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, fueled by love, connection, and a shared desire to make a difference. The days turned into weeks, and as they exchanged messages with Samuel, they began to see glimpses of hope amidst the despair. Samuel's gratitude for their support resonated deeply within them, reinforcing the connection they had forged across continents. They felt a sense of purpose that transcended borders, a shared commitment to making the world a better place. Yet, even amidst the growing hope, Alan remained vigilant, aware of the risks involved. He continued to emphasize the importance of caution, wanting to ensure that Melissa's kind-hearted nature did not put her in harm's way. "Let's keep our eyes open, Melissa," he reminded her one evening, as they prepared to send their first official message to Samuel about their plans to help him through a charity. "We're making a difference, but we must remain aware of the realities of this situation." "I know, Dad," she replied, her voice steady. "I'm grateful for your guidance. I want to do this right." As they hit send on the message, a sense of excitement bubbled within Alan. He had come to understand that this journey was not just about helping Samuel. It was also about discovering their own capacity for resilience, compassion, and the strength of their connection as father and daughter. In the weeks that followed, they received a heartfelt response from Samuel, expressing his appreciation for their willingness to help. He shared stories of his daily struggles and the small joys that punctuated his life. A moment of laughter with friends, the beauty of a sunset despite the chaos surrounding him. Each message painted a vivid picture of hope and despair, and it stirred something profound within Alan. "Look at this, Dad," Melissa exclaimed one evening, her eyes shining as she read Samuel's latest message. "He's been working with a local group that distributes food and supplies. He even sent photos of the volunteers in action." Alan leaned closer, captivated by the images. They showed young men and women, faces smeared with grit but glowing with determination, distributing aid to families in need. The sight warmed his heart, illuminating the power of community and shared effort. It was a reminder that even in the darkest places, kindness could thrive. "Maybe we can support that group directly," Alan suggested, feeling a surge of inspiration. "If they're already making a difference, we could help amplify their work." Melissa's enthusiasm was infectious. "That's a fantastic idea. I can reach out to Samuel and ask for more details. We could even do a fundraiser or something to gather more support." As they brainstormed ideas, Alan felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were no longer just bystanders. They were becoming active participants in a larger narrative of compassion and resilience. Together, they mapped out a plan, outlining how they could mobilize their community to contribute to the cause. The following weekend, they organized a small gathering at their home, inviting friends and neighbors to join in their efforts. Alan shared Samuel's story, highlighting the struggles faced by those in war-torn regions and the importance of empathy. "Sometimes we forget," he began, looking around at the faces of those gathered. "We forget that our actions, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect. Today, we have a chance to make a real difference, to stand in solidarity with those who need our help. As he spoke, he could see the impact of his words unfolding. Friends nodded, some with tears in their eyes, while others shared their own stories of giving back. It was as if a spark had ignited within the group, and Alan felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This was what community meant, coming together for a shared purpose. In the days that followed, the fundraiser blossomed, fueled by the enthusiasm and generosity of those inspired by Samuel's story. Donations poured in, and Alan watched as Melissa took the lead, organizing events reaching out to local businesses for support and sharing updates about their progress. One evening, as they counted the donations together, Alan looked at Melissa with a sense of pride swelling in his chest. "You've really taken charge, haven't you?" She grinned, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "I couldn't have done it without your support, Dad. You believed in me, and that made all the difference." "Just remember," he replied, "this is about more than just the money. It's about the connections we're building, the awareness we're raising." "I know," she said, her voice softening. "And I want to help more than just Samuel. I want to help others like him. There are so many people out there who need a voice." Alan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. They were embarking on a journey that was far more significant than either of them had anticipated. It was a path that would teach them both about resilience, compassion, and the power of community. As the fundraiser concluded with a celebratory event, the atmosphere was electric. Friends and family gathered to celebrate their efforts, and Alan felt an overwhelming sense of hope in the air. They had raised more than they had ever imagined, and as Melissa took the stage to share their achievements, Alan watched her, filled with pride. "We did this together," she said, her voice ringing clear. "Every single one of you played a part in helping us support Samuel and his community. Thank you for believing in the power of kindness." The applause that followed was deafening, and Alan couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Here was his daughter, standing tall and confident, inspiring others to join in the fight for justice and compassion. In the weeks that followed the fundraiser, Alan and Melissa maintained their communication with Samuel, sharing stories of their successes and learning about his life in real time. The bond they had formed with him deepened, and Alan began to view their efforts as a bridge connecting two worlds. One evening, as they sat together reflecting on the journey so far, Melissa turned to Alan, her expression contemplative. "Dad, I've been thinking, what if we actually went to meet Samuel? What if we could see the impact of our support firsthand?" The thought sent shivers down Alan's spine, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "That's a big step, Melissa," he replied slowly. "But it's not impossible. If we continue to establish trust and ensure safety, it could be a powerful experience." Melissa's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "We could learn so much from him and his community. We could bring back stories that would encourage even more people to get involved." As they discussed the logistics, Alan felt a sense of empowerment wash over him. This journey had transformed him as much as it had Melissa, opening his heart to new possibilities and perspectives. Days turned into weeks once more, and with each passing moment, their plans took shape. They researched travel options, connected with organizations that could facilitate their visit, and continued to build their relationship with Samuel. Finally, the day arrived when they could send the message asking if it would be safe for them to visit. Alan's heart raced as they composed the note together, their shared excitement palpable. When the response arrived, it was filled with warmth and gratitude. Samuel expressed his joy at the possibility of meeting them, but he also conveyed the realities of his situation, security concerns that could complicate their visit. "Let's take it one step at a time," Alan suggested, feeling the weight of responsibility. "We can plan the trip, but we need to remain cautious and flexible." Melissa nodded, understanding that their journey would require patience and adaptability. Together, they mapped out their itinerary, ensuring they would be prepared for any scenario. As the day of their departure drew closer, Alan couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. What began as a simple act of compassion had transformed into a powerful mission, one that deepened their bond and allowed them to embrace the unknown together. Finally, the day arrived. As they boarded the plane, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursed through Alan. He glanced at Melissa, whose face was alight with anticipation. "We're really doing this," she said, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "Yes, we are," Alan replied, feeling a surge of pride. "And no matter what happens, we'll face it together." The journey ahead was uncertain, but Alan knew they were prepared. With each passing moment, they were not just traveling to another country. They were embarking on an adventure that would challenge their beliefs, ignite their passions, and strengthen the bond between them even further. As the plane soared into the sky, Alan felt a sense of purpose wash over him. They were on their way to meet someone whose life they had touched, ready to witness the impact of their compassion, all while deepening their understanding of the world beyond their own. It was a journey of discovery, resilience, and love, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead them.